1, 2, 3. Let's get that zoom right. Go. Greetings, Richard Nikoley, freetheanimal.com on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. This is third video in my Thailand expat series, but the difference with this one is this is a pledge only or patron and subscribe star only. I'm going to do pledge only just to encompass the both of them. So this is going to be a post along with where I get to, I'm getting a significant number of questions like, how are you doing? This morning I was 84 kilo on the same scale in front of the 7-Eleven. Cost 1 baht to weigh yourself. 1 baht. There's 31 baht in $1, so it's less than 5 cents. So 3 cents to weigh yourself, and so it's the same one I've been using, and I just take the phone and out of my pocket and take my heavy watch off, and that pretty much approximates without a lot of added weight. So it was 84 this morning. That is comes out to 185 pounds, and 2.5 months ago it was reading 92, 93, which is like 205 pounds. So good progress. So I'm getting asked, why is that? Now I'm gonna put in the post all the stuff about fasting and a bit of meal choices. So just a word on that. The fasting is pretty simple. I'm doing eating window, and minimum is 18/6, so 18 hours fasted, 6 hours eating window, up to 24. 20 hours fasted, 4 hours eating, sometimes 21/3. And I do it every day. I've been consistent for about a month now. Almost a month, over 3 weeks. And that's where it really started. What do? I eat pretty big, but there's no cheating. There's 0 caloric intake in that fasting window. What I have found is that it is better in every single way the earlier I shift. Most people, when they're doing this and they're finding it quite difficult, I find that their fasting is going till like noon, maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then they're eating till 8 or 9, going to bed. So I'm doing it a different way, like start at 9 or 10 in the morning and go to 1 or 2. I try to be done eating by 2, and you're barely hungry really by the time you go to bed, and then you wake up, you're not hungry at all. And 2-3 hours from then, 4 hours, you can dig in. And then I eat big in that window. I don't really count calories. All I do is target protein, and I eschew added fat. And if I want to drink a sugar drink or something like that, or have a few potato chips or whatever snack food, even a cookie, who cares? A dessert, who cares, right? It's working, and it's like almost magic. But I want to focus on this other. I've been talking, if you've seen my other 2 videos, 1 and 2, about rural Thailand, and also pleasure and reward. And I want to do an enhanced idea of this reward pleasure thing, and I'm calling it. I'm saying, do you have to change your environment? Because for me, I'm pretty sure that was the big missing piece in all of this going for years. Why it was so difficult. Why I could always lose weight, but never really achieve the goal. I'd drop. I'm like, okay, it's good enough, and then I'd start boozing again, eating crappy food again, too much, too often food, right? So fasting and eating window kicks out the too often, right? And it's hard to eat too much for a day's worth of calories even in 6 hours, and 4 hours almost impossible, you know, at least consistently every single day. So you may do that once in a while, once every few days. I may have yesterday. I ate pretty big continuously for like 4 hours. I just felt like I needed it, right? I thought I was done, and then an hour later I said, you know what, I better eat another 50 grams of chicken, protein grams. So that's fine. And I registered my lowest weight in years this morning. Another thing I advise is in your eating window, don't you don't need more than just a sip of water every now and then to wet your whistle. You know, I don't drink fluids. You know, I don't drink alcohol at all, but I don't drink fluids when I'm fasting. You know, just to drink a fluid. Coffee in the morning. Okay, all right, you got me. Do you need to change your environment? For my case, yes. I mean, even in rural Arnold, there's too much available. I mean, there's a Subway, there's burger joints, mama pops, there's pubs, out here, and I'm not suggesting you jump on a plane and move to Thailand and go deep rural, because if you go to Bangkok, it's just as hyper rewarding and pleasurable, and it's at your fingertips. I mentioned AB Data, Adam Brian Data, and I don't think I put his links in. I need to do that. But he had a good trick. Like, say you love tacos, pleasurable tacos. You know, you jump in your car and go to the Taco Bell drive-in or whatever your preference is. So that's highly rewarding, right? Or now you can do Uber Eats or something like that. You get it delivered, pizza delivery. Okay, so take those two things, tacos, pizza, highly pleasurable foods. It's not something you want to quit forever, but you can reduce the amount, the hit, the acute hit of pleasure, like doing some things. Like, one of his suggestions was, okay, instead of drive-through, walk to the restaurant and walk back, right? So that's one level of lowering the reward that's beneficial to you. Take it a step further. Walk to a supermarket, buy the stuff you need, go home, cook it up yourself. Probably a better taco, right? But is it as pleasurable, as rewarding? Nah, right? Are you gonna do it every single day? Probably not, right? So, and pizza, you probably made pizza at home, but you know, the reason it's so popular to order from a pizza joint or a restaurant is because they've got it, they've got everything. The dough is perfect and the crust is perfect and everything. And it's quite difficult to do an excellent pizza at home. It takes some time, especially if you're into natural rising of dough and all of that stuff. You know, the good Italian pizza joints, their dough is like 18 hours old or something like that. It sits in a drawer and they take it out, boom, pound out a pizza, right? So here in rural, I got a story. So I was in Chiang Mai. It was, a couple months after I'd gotten there. I'm sitting in a bar. I'm talking to this other expat, American actually. There's not so many Americans. They're mostly Brits and Australians for the most part, mostly Europeans in general. But he's married and he's out. He lives out in rural Thailand. And I'm talking to him, and he's in Chiang Mai to take care of some business visa stuff or something like that for a few days. And I'm like, well, what do you do out there? He's like, there isn't fuck to do. There's fuck all to do. Nothing to do. And I remember thinking, like, God, how can you do that? I can't even imagine, you know. And, you know, that's like, it's like one of those, you know, gifts from the universe or something that, you know, soon after you find yourself in the exact same situation. Now, when I first got here, the task was to build a house. Well, not build it from the ground up. It was 2 rooms and a bathroom, about 400 square feet. And I expanded it to 1,400 square feet. So in 2.5 months. So 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, big kitchen, big sitting room. And the nice grounds, all gated and everything, compound style now, so that the dogs and chickens can't just walk in at their leisure, right? So that was a very productive hyperactivity day, 7 days a week work, 10-hour days, 10 to 12-hour days actually. And so when that ended, I was kind of left a bit empty. It's like, okay, now what do I do? Got internet installed and got my office and everything, but I'm like, man, you know, can't go down to there's no pub to go to. There literally is no bars. There's stores where you can buy, you know, beer, wine coolers, whiskey, and all that. But there's no bars. There's barely even any restaurants. What there are is like, you know, little outdoor, you know, food stands. Some of them have some tables. There's one restaurant that I go to, Mr. B's, and him and his wife used to work in, they spent like a year or 2 in Australia, workers, and he actually ended up being a cook at an Australian restaurant. So they came back here, started a mini market, coffee, smoothie shop, and restaurant all in the same building. Really cool. They speak good English. Mr. B's, and she just had a baby girl a week and a half ago, their first. So that's all happy. I try to go in there because he has a bit of a Western flair to some of it. Like, he has great pork steaks and chicken steaks, and I get a double order every time. It costs me $6 instead of $3, but it hits the protein. Anyway, so that's like the most pleasurable thing I've got out here. And I've got great internet, never goes down, very reliable, like 150 megabit per second download and 65 upload. I can stream Netflix on 4 TVs at once, and it's no problem. So, but still, it's rural, and it takes a while, and you're like, life is pleasurable in itself. There's always something to do, but it's not so much what we tend to associate with pleasure, like going to the bar, going to the movies, going to shopping centers, going to restaurants, going to wineries, going to this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, there's plenty of places to go see monuments. Like here we're 30 miles from the Cambodian border. It's like once the border opens up, I'm looking forward to going and seeing. There's a lot of the Khmer stuff here in Thailand, because it was built before there was a border. But like Angkor Wat is only like I don't know, 100 kilometers away. That, you know, the famous big thing. But there's other ones, and so I'm looking forward to a lot of that sort of sightseeing once once the world gets back to some level of sanity and stops being scaredy cat children cowering in dark corners over a bad cold. There, I said it. Masks. Fuck. You know what you're doing to children with that shit? Imagine growing up as a child with everybody having their face covered. Assholes. All right, so environment. You got, you know, life. It should, if you're not in a place where life is pleasurable without all that bullshit, then you kind of got a problem. You know, And it may not be something like, oh, I drink too much, or, you know, I'm too promiscuous, or I consume too much porn, or I binge watch too much movies and stuff like that. Those are just manifestations of having a hyper rich environment that you engage in. And rather than this video is going a little bit longer, it's Patreon only, so okay. So rather than like sit around and be in this sense of I'm denying myself all of this stuff, maybe you change your attitude and you say, well, this isn't real life. This is just all of a consumer mindset where I have to consume. I have to go get this, and I have to go buy this, and I have to buy this, and I have to buy this, and buy, consume, right? Rather than, if you're in a place where it's hard to buy anything that's other than just bare necessity stuff. It's easy to buy tools. You know, it's easy to buy cooking stuff. It's easy to get your propane tank filled, right? Try to find a laundromat. No, everybody does their own wash, and they hang dry it too. So you desensitize yourself by having all this stuff. You've forgotten what life is, just simple life, getting up and pleasurable. I don't know nothing about like Stoicism or Epicurious and all this stuff. I have it on my list to look into it and stuff, but you know, I'm kind of a guy who, once you get like a few different nuggets here, it's like, okay, I got it, boom, I can go from there. I think for myself rather than sit and say, well, what would Jesus say, or what would Confucius say, or what would Buddha say, or what would Epicurus say, or in the case of the rationalists, what would Ayn Rand say, all of this stuff. So, you know, I was thinking about it the other day, and that is like, in contrast to where I am in this rural area, I look at like urban and suburban life in America, or even in Europe, Western Europe, as somewhat equivalent to like 18-6, you know, using the same thing as a fasting window, but you're awake for 18 hours, you sleep for 6, but the 18 waking hours it's like the equivalent of one giant porn film, you know, that you're in. Or, you know, it's I don't know if that resonates with you, but so here we are in this unique space in history, and the CoronaCon was an absolute disaster. It's an evil sham. It's been a big transfer of wealth from small mom and pop businesses to the biggest companies. Look at what they've done. They've made billions and billions, like $500 billion, right? And some of the richest people, because they were essential. So Amazon, all these like Amazons and all these online companies have skyrocketed, while we have millions of people out of work, don't even have a job, and millions of companies that have shut down, and many of them for good. That's fucking evil. It's a transfer of wealth. All of that stock increase, and I hope your 401k is doing great. Mine is, or you know, IRA actually, but you know, that's looted money as far as I'm concerned. It's stolen from middle America to enhance the rich, which are all the leftist Democrats. So you know, if you see what's going on in the big cities, right? The utter disaster. All these cities that have been run by the leftist Democrats for decades, and they're like fucking war zones. So go look at those, and there's people moving out. Well, maybe consider don't move to suburbia. Maybe go rural. Maybe it's an opportunity to go rural. Do a little homesteading, homeschooling, and get with a community in a like small town or rural area. Just a suggestion. All right, we're at 20 minutes. That's good enough for now. I will catch you next time. And thank you for your pledges. Also, if any of you could like or subscribe to my YouTube channel, that would be really cool, because I need like 170 more to be able to monetize the thing. That'll just be another little source of income. So if you could subscribe to that, that'd help me out. Thank you. Bye.